Hey guys, welcome to Break It Yourself. Today we're gonna be making some chicken and sausage gumbo. So the first thing we're gonna do is just kind of go over all the different ingredients. I'll let Christine kind of do that.
So we've got our chicken stock for the base of the gumbo. I recommend using unsalted. You can always add more salt, but you can't take it away.
Quantities. 3 quarts is recommended, 4 more soupy.
Well, I recommend 4 quarts because I like soupy gumbo.
Yeah. Got it.
We've got the trifecta, what we call in Louisiana, of celery, onion, and bell pepper. 2 cups of both the onion and the celery, a cup of the bell pepper. Then we've got green onions, it's gonna be 2 cups of that. Basil to taste, thyme to taste. Parsley, about a half a cup-ish. Garlic, about a 1/4 of a cup. I eyeball everything, so yay.
Good luck.
We've got our flour to make our roux.
And this is special, well, I might put this like in the description. I'm not gonna call this gumbo gluten-free gumbo because I want anyone to be able to use it because it does not taste any different than regular gumbo.
And the recipe doesn't change.
At all. Yeah. It's just the type of flour that we're using is gluten-free flour.
It is.
So I don't want that to freak you out and be like, oh, I'm not gonna, you can use it with regular flour.
All-purpose flour.
It'll come out fine. We're happen to be using, what kind of flour is that?
It's called butter batter. I mean, it's just a cup for cup replacement for regular flour.
Yeah, and I'll put all these, or I'll try to put all these quantities either on screen or just in the description, and then I'll link you to the type of flour that we use because this is really awesome for people that are gluten intolerant or have celiac disease. This is because they can still have gumbo and it tastes, you could do a blind taste test, you wouldn't know the difference. This flour is awesome. So we'll keep going.
So yeah, flour, a cup and a half for your roux. And then we've got, this is green onion and andouille sausage. That's my personal favorite kind to use in a gumbo. A lot of people will tell you that sausage makes or breaks a gumbo. I slightly agree and slightly disagree with that. I think it's a roux that makes or breaks your gumbo, but in this recipe, your sausage grease is a part of your roux, so kind of twofold. So sausage, you can use a pound. I'm gonna use 1.5 pounds because we prefer a little bit more. And then this here are skin on, bone in chicken thighs. It's 5 pounds. And then a stick of butter. We're gonna season the chicken with Tony Chachere's to taste. That's why I say use unsalted chicken stock because you got a lot of salt in there. And then gumbo filet. So I usually start and I chop up everything that I need to chop ahead of time so that once I'm cooking, I'm good to go. So we're gonna chop everything.
Next step, since we've got all this cut up, we'll go over to the stove with this, we'll get this cooking. Okay, so we've used this to do the sausage and the chicken.
Yep, so brown the sausage just until, both sides are all brown.
Crispy.
And then we'll do the chicken. I usually do 4 minutes on one side, heavily coat the other side in Tony's. Flip, do that for 4 minutes, heavily coat in Tony's, and then flip again 2 minutes, flip again 2 minutes, and then you have a ton of grease.
So 12 minutes total, 4-4-2-2.
Yeah.
And then put Tony's on it, on the side up.
A lot of Tony's.
Okay, and now we're left with a bunch of grease here, and we'll add 1 stick of butter.
1 stick of butter.
And then we'll get the roux going.
Yep.
Okay, so our butter is melted, and now the crucial step in the gumbo making, and that's gonna be the roux, and we're gonna add the flour to all of this oil, and we're gonna start browning it slowly, and we're gonna go for that deep kind of chocolate color is what we're shooting for. We want a nice dark roux. So we're gonna stir the flour in. Once it's all in, we're gonna keep it on that low medium heat. We're gonna go, usually for us it takes about 20 or 30 minutes. And the whole time that we're stirring, we're really gonna be scraping the bottom of the pan to prevent any part of the roux from just sitting on that bottom and getting overcooked. We want this all to cook evenly and we want it to get nice and dark. So to achieve that, we go slow and just do it methodically. So we're kind of shooting for a color between a milk chocolate and a dark chocolate. And like I said, about a half hour in is when we start to hit that. Then once we do that, we'll stir in the vegetables. So our onion, celery, bell pepper, and garlic. We'll get that stirred in. We'll take the heat down to low. And your roux is actually gonna continue to darken up even with the vegetables in, which is why we don't go to that full dark chocolate color just by itself. You will notice that it may smell a little burned. There is a difference between like actual burn smell and the smell of this roux. It might smell slightly burnt, and that's okay. Just be careful that you're not actually burning the roux and getting like clumps of burned roux in there. So we've got our vegetables in. We're gonna let that go on low heat for about 5 minutes until the onions are translucent. And then once we get to that point, we're gonna take it off and put everything in the stock pot. So just until the onions are clear, and then we went ahead and dumped it in here.
So now we'll start adding chicken stock a little by little. Maybe start with 2 cups and you'll just stir that roux into it to try to get the clumps of the roux dissolved. And once you kind of have that dissolved, you can add the rest of the chicken stock in.
What do you got? So this has been simmering for an hour. This is the roux with the mixed in veggies, with all the broth, with the chicken and the sausage. We still have yet to put all this in, which this will go in pretty much last.
Yep.
And so this step, take the chickens out, debone them, shred them. We're now at the part where we're getting the oil off the top. And one little note here, the reason we don't put the herbs and stuff in before this step is because all this stuff will float and it'll make getting the oil off the top harder. Also, this was sitting with no heat for the duration of peeling the chicken, which is like, depending on how tender the chicken is, 10-20 minute task. And all that oil will just separate and rise to the top. And then we'll take our trusty paper towels and just get off as much as we can from the top. So once we get the oil off the top, we are rapidly approaching the finish line. We'll take our pulled apart chicken, we'll put it back in, we'll take all of our herbs, we'll put that back in, mix it up, and then we'll let it simmer for about 30 minutes or so, and then that would be ready to serve. So get your rice and you'd be good to go. Oil's off the top, we got some like medium to low heat going, and now it's chicken back in, herbs in.
And then filet.
Oh, how much?
Tablespoon maybe? Not that much.
Okay. We've got everything dumped in. We've got our heat on low. We're just gonna let it simmer for another 30 minutes or so, and then give it a taste and see. Oh yeah. Okay, we've got our tiny little bowl of gumbo. Oh, that roux is so dark.
I know.
It looks so good. I mean, you all have already had a close-up shot, but it looks so good. Let me get a nice little piece of, well, maybe one of sausage, one of chicken.
Yep.
It's gonna be super hot. Roux is great, tastes awesome. That sausage is real good, that andouille.
Green onion andouille.
Yeah, well, let's see if we can split that little piece of chicken in half. This is not a super thick roux because we use that extra chicken stock. This is just our preference, the more like kind of liquidy, I almost said watery, but it wouldn't be watery. Super good. Yeah, and in my opinion, like we said, letting it go overnight and letting everything just kind of marinate together, the flavors just increase from here.
Yeah.
I think it gets better.
Me too.
Well, there you have it. That's how we make our gumbo. If you have suggestions on things that you would change, or if you've got a recipe that you think is just incredible, please just let us know in the comments below. You can find our recipe in the description below. Thanks so much for watching Peg It Yourself. We really appreciate you guys. As always, don't forget to thumbs this video up.